Hello! I am trying this on a new device. Well, not a new device, an old device. So this is book review 3, and this is the first time I've ever sort of sat down and wrote out what I was going to say, because there's a lot to say about this one. I feel like this video comes with a warning at the beginning. Where do I even start? We're moving into spirit work. Contacting spirits, talking with spirits, and if you get interested in that, you might start hearing about ceremonial magic. And the words Keys of Solomon are definitely going to pop up. If you're active online on, I don't know, I'm not really up to date these days. TikToks, I guess, Reddits. The witchcraft community has opinions on the do's and don'ts of spirit work and ceremonial magic. So I have to start with some warnings and clarification. This video might trigger some demonologists. Demonologists? Same thing. It's Pepsi and Coke, right? They're like I said, you're triggered? Okay. It only gets worse from here. I will agree with them on one thing. We all have this understanding by this point that things are made out of energy, and energy vibrates at different frequencies, and that angels and demons are not necessarily what pop culture sort of depicts them as. That, and a lot of times, just in my personal experience, dealing with spirits, a lot of times when people say they have a demon, they don't. They just have a bad spirit. There's a lot of bad spirit. If you think you have a demon problem and you've seen a demon, no, you didn't. It's just a really bad spirit, and sometimes not even a human spirit. Same with bad Ouija board stories. Who is this? Zozo? A demon? No, it's just a jerk spirit messing with you. Okay? Anyway, so you might be tempted to read about ceremonial magic and try it out. And I would kindly ask that you don't do that. Okay, think of this. What are your thoughts and feelings on slavery? Good? Bad? Okay. If you think about spirits as people, treat them like people. Don't just roll up on them like you're a crooked cop and then pin them to the ground and handcuff them and say, "Give me this," because that's kind of what ceremonial magic is all about. What is ceremonial magic? Ceremonial magic is for people who aren't mediums who want to be mediums, okay? So what I do a lot on this channel is I talk to spirits through mediumship and channeling and divination. If people don't know how to do that, they can do really elaborate, time-consuming prep work, drawing circles on the floor that they don't even understand, praying and chanting and all this stuff, and only the practitioner can see it, to summon angels, demons, and bind them to your service or do deals with them. Okay? Don't do that for many reasons. One, that's a dick move. Okay? Two, you don't need to do ceremonial magic to talk to angels or demons. The very first spirit I've ever talked to was an angel on the Ouija board. I didn't have to prep for a week and pick the right day at the right time with the right seals and drawing the right circle on the floor and chalk with the right triangle. Didn't have to do that. First attempt, got an angel. Just Ouija board, okay? It's like, same with Christians who go to church all the time and they pray, okay? You don't have to do ceremonial magic. Another reason why you shouldn't is because it is so old. The Keys of Solomon have been translated so many times. You don't actually know what you're doing. You think you do, but you don't. And there are a lot of consequences to that. Consequences for the spirits, The reason I've had to go out and buy some more books on this stuff is because I've come across spirits I can't help. And the reason I can't help them is because people out there didn't know what they were doing and messed around with ceremonial magic, and these spirits are enslaved. And the person who enslaved them died a long time ago, and they're walking around dragging chains. It's like, it makes you think about A Christmas Carol when the ghost of Christmas past appears in chains, like where that sort of archetype came from. It came from idiots screwing around with ceremonial magic. And there's also consequences for you because a lot of like demonologists and Satanists and Luciferians are going to tell you that you can work with demons and you can get whatever you want. And they will even give you a little familiar to help you out. And wow, doesn't that sound just too good to be true? Yeah, it is. It's, oh, okay. You can. And a lot of the books I have today in front of me, there's a lot of books this time. There's a lot of books this time because I have books I don't want you to read and I have books I do want you to read. A lot of them will talk about how you can summon demons. And yes, you can. And sure, maybe you get what you want. But a lot of these people who say there are no consequences are, or that demons aren't actually evil, they're just misunderstood. Evil is a human concept. That goes against the Hermetic principles. If you've made it this far into a study of witchcraft, you have heard about the Hermetic principles, okay? There is fire, and there's heat, and there's cold. There's up and there's down, okay? There's light and there's darkness. There is good, and you know it when you feel it. And what, just evil just doesn't exist? There are no deities that represent that, is what you're saying? Ask yourself this. Why would you want to summon a demon and ask a demon for things? Why a demon? Because the only reason you're doing that is because you don't think the good guys will give you what you want, because what you're asking for probably isn't good. It's probably really selfish. So why would you even want to? Now, here's where the demonologists will really get triggered. Dealing with demons, nothing is for free. Okay? I'm going to give you two examples. One is one of my spirit guides, the Ancient One. It's sort of a nickname I've given him. He does deity work, and he did demonology, and he did work with demons. And for the longest time, as I was getting to know my spirit guides, I asked him how many lives he had lived and how many times he reincarnated. He's like, I haven't. I've only lived the one life. Later, I came to find out why. It's because in his life, when he got into this stuff and he summoned what, back then it wasn't called demon. I don't even think they were calling them daemons at that point. They were just different gods. And different gods of different... we categorized them later based on good and evil, which ones were angels and demons. But at the time, they were all just different gods. And these selfish, the ones we would call evil, you could work with them, but they always want something in return. And they don't always tell you that. You don't always know you've agreed to it. And I've even debated this with people online who wind up admitting, yeah, if you're gullible, they'll take advantage of you. Did you just admit they do what I said they do? Because angels don't do that. Hecate doesn't do that. You don't have to. It's like smoking. Okay? It's like talking to smokers who are trying to defend smoking and saying there's no consequences to it. So anyway, my spirit guide, without being told because of... Anyway, they can read your minds and they can erase your memories. he wound up in service to a demon. Now, that doesn't mean I have your soul, ha ha ha, forever in hell. It doesn't mean that. It means, oh, hey, you work for me for the next 4,000 years, 2,000, whatever time. It's like, what? That's forever? No, that's not forever. Come on. I've been around for eternity. That's nothing. Okay, you owe me that because I helped you out earlier. Okay, some demons don't want that. Some even just want a little bottle of booze, maybe some chocolate or something. Some don't ask for much, but the variety of personalities you will get, it's just not worth it. It's like playing Russian roulette. I'll tell you another story about a guy named Grant Morrison. You can Google this. You can look this up right now. In fact, I will tell you the YouTube video where I first heard him tell the story. Grant Morrison is a writer, and he got into ceremonial magic, okay? And realizing that, hey, if you do the stuff in these books, it works. You can summon spirits and talk to them and this and that. And he's going through, I don't know, see like this. And he's going through, now I can't find any. And he's like, lands on another demon to summon, to help his career. And that demon appears before him as a giant scorpion and says, all right, we're going to do this. You're going to work for me and you're going to be a psychic assassin. Grant Morrison's like, whoa. I don't want to do that. I don't know what the consequences of that would be. And sort of backs out of there, closes the ceremony. That night, he has a nightmare of a demon scorpion stinging him in the face. And he wakes up and has necrotizing fasciitis, the flesh-eating virus, okay? You don't have to take my word for that. You can hear him tell that story. You can Google Grant Morrison, and odds are a lot of the things that will come up right after that will be either about comic books or about his paranormal stuff, his magic, and his Kathmandu story. And where I first heard him was on Fat Man on Batman with Kevin Smith. He gets interviewed by Kevin Smith on Fat Man on Batman. Maybe I'll include the link. I'm not really YouTube savvy. I don't know how to do that, but I might figure it out and post the link for that. It's like a 4-hour compilation of all their interviews, and he tells that story. That's where I first heard him tell it. So he summoned a demon, didn't even make a deal, didn't agree to it, but just the nature of summoning and being like, whoa, it's like asking the mob for a loan. Do you really want to go into the shark's den and do that? Okay. And now that all the demonologists and Satanists and Luciferians are all triggered and just disagreeing with me, and some of them are actually kind of like, well, yeah, I actually kind of got dragged into a deal I didn't want to. Some of them, deep down know I'm right. Some of them don't. Some of them aren't going to find out I'm right until it's too late after they've passed on. And they can come see me and I will do my best to help them. I've come across a spirit that had this like weird cord with a bunch of weird symbols on it. And then I had to do some homework and realize those symbols were Hebrew letters. And I'm still trying to figure out how to help him. So please just don't mess around. You don't need to. That being said, let's get to the books. So, after that long warning about, that was 13 minutes. After that long warning about don't mess with demons, let's get to the actual books. The first thing you want to do when you start spirit work is maybe look up how to protect yourself. Now, some of the books I've recommended in the past will go through that. But I would even say start learning about exorcism, just the principles of it, right? So you might be tempted to search that on Amazon, and you might find a book called The Exorcist Handbook and think, oh, wow, that'll help. This is a load of crap. I was really disappointed in this book. To be fair, I haven't tried any of it. If I come up, then my next haunting, you know what? I'll take 5 minutes and I'll try some of the stuff in this book. But I already know it's not going to work because my other spirit guide is a priest and said, no, that's not going to work. It's just, it's fantasy. The techniques described in this book are about, there's someone in front of you possessed by a demon. Well, just go into a meditation and visualize you taking that spirit to the abyss, and there's going to be some sand people there from Star Wars. They're going to be there, but they're going to have long hair. They're going to help you take care of the demon by throwing it into. So, I would not recommend this book. Although, to be fair, I haven't tried the techniques out, but I have a feeling I don't really need to. I will recommend this book because it does have a section on exorcism that isn't full of it. This techniques that actually do work. I wonder if I tabbed them. Yeah. Anyway, but it's also more than that. It has a lot of stuff in here. If you are looking to get into work, like an actual job, like if you want to be a ghost hunter on TV, this has a lot of good business advice as well. Things I wouldn't have considered. The person who wrote this knows what they're talking about because they go out and do this for a living. They deal with hauntings. The only thing I've disagreed with in this book is they've talked about a certain kind of spirit parasite, and none of the spirits I've talked to have ever seen one. So, other things they've mentioned, the spirits have confirmed. Just that one little nugget hasn't been confirmed yet, or is just not real. But good information on how to protect yourself and how to talk and deal with spirits. This one by Jason Miller, who in the last video had badmouthed one of his books. I will say some positive things about this one. He knows what he's talking about. I've learned a lot of what I do. I've learned from this book actually. How different. He knows a lot. It's clear when reading this, he knows what he's talking about because he's been doing this a long time. And he's very knowledgeable. You will learn a lot. The only downside is that he's clearly made a deal with some demons, and he acknowledges that, Astaroth. But one could say it's a fair approach because he'll give you invocation for an angel, and then he'll give you an invocation for Hecate, which is, hey, that's right up my alley. But then he'll give you an invocation for Satan himself. It's kind of like, everybody gets fair treatment. So if you want to, it's not biased one way or the other. It's, hey, if you want to summon a saint or an angel, sure. And also, here's how to summon Satan himself as well. I've never tried summoning Satan because I don't want to, because I already know what'll happen. He'll sound very charming. I bet he's very charming. Not interested. And a little rule of thumb when you're going through books about witchcraft or spirit work, especially spirit work, if they don't talk about the importance of meditation, they don't know what they're talking about. Okay? All the books I recommend that you read, all of them emphasize the importance of meditating first. Okay? He does the same thing. And also just the way he talks is very easy to digest. You won't want to put it down. It's a good book, actually. The next book I will recommend. Well, I also okay. Since I'm on Jason Miller, I might as well do another one of his books. I have tried these techniques, and they work. He knows what he's talking about. I've tried them; they work. Okay, he talks about asking spirits for help. I've tried it; it works. He talks about creating servitors / golems, which is you create through meditation and pouring your energy, you create and mold a bodyguard spirit that you can it doesn't think for itself, but you can program it to carry out a task, and it works. I'll tell you, I was like, wait, really? So I tried it, and I modeled mine after Superman. So I figured, if I want a bodyguard, what's the most powerful thing I can think of to protect me? Nothing beats Superman, right? Turns out it doesn't quite work that way. He looked like Superman, but he was basically the Terminator. He didn't shoot fire out of his eyes. He didn't fly. He didn't have frost breath, or he was basically just a spirit bodyguard that looked like Superman. So, still worked. Still helped me a lot. Yes, Jason Miller again. This is a book. This works. This works. I adapt a lot of techniques. If you've seen me trap a spirit in a bottle in my videos, I borrow from this very technique that is pictured on the front. Okay? I borrow from that. As with anything, especially when you're talking about ceremonial magic, which we'll get into, if you see a circle or a sign with a bunch of fancy symbols and they're like, oh, that's important and you got to copy it down and repeat it, but you don't know what it means, then it doesn't really work. It's not a bad spirit. Okay, I might have to wrap this up soon because that's a bad spirit. Okay, if you come back in 20 minutes, I will see you. 20 minutes? Okay, right now I'm busy. Come back in 20 minutes, we can talk. Okay. Yes, okay. I'm going to recommend this book. Syrian Shout Out. Okay? I had already been practicing and perfecting spirit work. Then I read this book. This book details everything I learned on my own. I went through this going, oh yeah, that's this. Oh yeah, that happened to me. Oh yeah, I know what she's talking about. Yeah, that's true. So I can personally vouch. This isn't something I read and tried. This is something I read and go, oh yeah, she knows what she's talking about because that's exactly what I've been through. Every little thing. If you've watched some of my videos, I go on about aftershocks, and she does talk a little bit about how you can absorb energy from spirits. She talks about when you're trying to open your third eye, you might hear ringing. And I'm like, yes, you do. You actually do. And some of the people I've been teaching also know that. So this book confirmed a lot of things I already knew. I highly recommend it. It's honestly maybe the best. It doesn't have a lot of methods on how, but she definitely knows what she's talking about. If that's a she. Syrian? Syrian. Yeah. Hello, dog. Did this spirit scare you? He scares you and then he'll come back in 20 minutes and scare you again? Mm-hmm. Yeah. This ball's too squeaky. Let's throw this instead. Okay, now I want to talk about some more books I don't recommend. Stay away from them. It's not worth it because a lot of the other books you will read about witchcraft will take what's important about these so you don't have to read them. Just don't. Okay? The Greater and Lesser Keys of Solomon, don't waste your time. You don't have to. You really don't. And if you see things like this, you don't have to copy those down exactly because it's spellcraft. This is ceremonial magic is people who aren't mediums doing spellcraft to basically put spirits in handcuffs and make deals with them. And they talk about, oh, we're very Christian-y. We are people of God, and you must be holy with God. Anyway, here's a list of demons you can summon. Why? If you're so holy? So the triangles, the circles of protection, the language written around those circles meant something to them. They poured their intention into it. Okay? If you're going to craft a spell, if you're going to do this stuff, which just don't, but if you're going to, make your own circle. Make your own triangle. Write your own words around it that mean something to you. Pour your intent into it. Craft your own ceremony. So you really don't need to do this. This book, I'm going to throw in the garbage. There's nothing valuable about it. Okay? First chapter. What is magic? What is it? And it goes on and on and on about Adam and Eve in the garden, and Adam did really bad things to Eve, and just whoever wrote this has no idea what they're talking about, doesn't know a damn thing, and wasted my money and time. Okay? Sure, the stuff in the Keys of Solomon works. I don't recommend it. Nothing that is discussed in this book has any value. This is better. If you want to know about ceremonial magic, this book will tell you everything, and it will give... This book is exactly what I'm doing right now. This book is a book review within a book. It will talk about the Greater Keys of Solomon, what's good about it, what's bad, put it in context. It will talk about Cornelius Agrippa, who I have his 4 books of occult philosophy. I think I put them in a video, actually. It will talk a lot at the Grimoire Verum. Okay? It will give you what you need from the Grimoire Verum. Get out of here. But give those things context and critical analysis so you can disagree with them. And it's just very educational. Okay? And I think there's even something... Oh, yeah, there's that. I thought I booked off a page where he has criticism about Arthur Edward Waite. He has criticism about the Greater Keys of Solomon, and just goes on to say that describes them the same reason I wasn't interested in them when I started trying to read them when I was a teenager. They're just so pompous, arrogant, over the top, formal baloney that you really don't need to go through. You don't need to spend a week picking the right day and time to talk to a right angel with the right sigil and seal. You don't have to do any of the stuff it says in there. If you want to talk to an angel, talk to an angel. Okay? People do it all the time before they go to bed like this. Okay? It works. So that's it. The only other book review I could possibly think of doing is about deity work, but I only have books about Hecate because she's my deity. That's not to say I haven't appealed to Jupiter once or twice, but Hecate she's the mother. She's my own mother, so. Maybe, I don't know. Doing a book review about Hecate would just be doing a sermon about Hecate. So yeah. That's about it. Just a final thing, just treat spirits with the same way you would treat people. Treat them with respect and kindness, and understand that they're flawed, that they're not perfect, and that books don't get everything right. If you do want to learn more about spirits, is actually talk to them and ask them. Okay? There's been a lot of misunderstanding about Hecate, for example, that she told me herself a lot of things. And I'm like, oh, okay. That makes more sense. So treat them like people, because they are just like people. Deities, not so much. And Hecate is a deity. Anyway, I'm getting confusing here. So, all right. That is my 3rd book review video on spirit work. Don't attempt spirit work if you're just an amateur. Practice your divination, practice your tarot, practice dream analysis, work your way up, practice all of that, then try some spirit work. All right.